Good morning. We got a K5 Blazer here today that needs a repair. The alignment bushing on the driver's side ball joint has broke loose. It has an aftermarket bushing that I've never liked, and they don't seem to hold up very good, so we're going to fix that today. Let's see how it goes. Okay, you can see how that ball joint is moving back and forth, so we need to fix that. We're going to try to get this to grab kind of tight, see if it'll turn it. If not, we're going to just ream it out until we get down to thread. Okay, we still have a little bit of that sleeve left in here, so the next step is to try to cut it out with this tap. I think this will work. We just got to take our time. We've got to salvage this because this housing is part of the housing, so if we don't save it, we'll have to replace the housing. It's cutting it. Yep. You just have to keep going. Okay, it's all the way through. Let's clean up some of that stuff that's in there. And that's how that goes. So this is ready. Tomorrow we'll press new ball joints on this knuckle, put a new seal, pack the wheel bearings, and assemble this. So that's it for today. Okay, we're going to press these ball joints out. You can see this has play, and this one has a lot of play. So this is the ball joint for this. We got to make sure we orient the grease zerk right about there so that this allows us to grease it through here between the axle and the steering arm. And this one, of course, goes back here. There's a snap ring, so we've got to take all that off and then press everything out and press the new ones in. So let's get to it. Okay, here we are at the press. So we're going to press the lower ball joint out first, and that gives us access to press the upper ball joint. It came out pretty easy. And we'll have to set it up for the upper ball joint. Okay, this is how we have it set up in the press. Now this is how we have it set up. I'm not telling you this is how you should do it. Just make sure that whatever you're doing, you're using safety, and make sure you don't hurt yourself. So let's see how that goes. Okay, and again I have to repeat, this is how I'm doing it. I'm not telling you you should do it this way. Use the safest method that will work for you. Just a note, you got to make sure you have some kind of a spacer or something underneath, so when the ball joint goes through, it's going to protrude the knuckle, so you want to make sure it doesn't hit the base before it goes all the way through. So let's get this going. Okay, upper ball joint. Okay, you guys saw that jump. Sometimes they get a little bound up, so just be careful. But we've got that in, we've got that in. We got to put this snap ring, put the grease zerks on, and then it's ready to go in the truck. Okay, now that we've got the ball joints pressed in the knuckle, let's put it on the truck. So let me set you up right here. Okay, and the way I like to do it is I like to put pressure on the lower ball joint so the taper will lock, so that I can turn the nut without the ball joint turning. So we do that by putting a jack under it and then just jacking it up until the ball joint presses into the taper. See, that will lock the taper and keep it from turning. And the reason for that is because this nut is self-locking, and so what it will want to lock and not let the threads continue because it's turning the ball joint. The reason it's doing that is because this jack is releasing and I don't have the handle that tightens the valve correctly. I'm just tightening it by hand, but it'll still work. Once it locks, then it doesn't matter, it'll still tighten up. Okay, so that's tight. Now we can take this jack off. Now this is where this sleeve comes into play. So the trick to this sleeve is that you want to run it in until it puts a load on the upper ball joint. Try to make it so where you guys can see. So right now it's got a load on it. You can see it's kind of got a lot of pressure to turn it. So let's put just a little bit more load. Okay. Now, when we put this nut on to tighten it, it will draw the ball joint up into the sleeve and lock it. So then that way it'll take the load off the ball joint. See? So now it moves. The only resistance now is the resistance that the new ball joints create. So that's good. Let's put a cotter key in here so it doesn't come loose. And then we'll continue with the rest of it. Okay, let's get this axle in here. Put the spindle in. And just so you know, the spindle goes first, and then the backing plate. So let's get the nuts for this and get this bolted up. Okay, let's see if you guys have a better view there. So it takes 6 of these flanged nuts. Okay, let's snug these up at the gun. I like to put a ratchet on there to make sure that everything's tight. Just remember, this has to be tight because this is what holds the wheel on, basically. If these nuts come off, the spindle and everything's going to come off with the wheel and everything. Go over them again just to make sure. Okay, that's tight enough. Now we'll put the rotor on, but we need to pack the wheel bearings to do that. So let's do that next. This is how I pack wheel bearings. It's an easy way to do it. They sell these tools, and to be honest with you, I've never liked them because it takes 4 guys to press this down far enough to get the grease through the bearings. It's a lot of resistance. So I do them by hand, and this works really great. And anybody can do it without any special tools. I didn't use the grease. I'm taking all the old grease off because I think that the person that packed these before used chassis grease, and chassis grease and wheel bearing grease are not the same. So you got to make sure you use the right grease for this. This is what I use: high temp disc brake wheel bearing grease. And it will say something about wheel bearings no matter what brand you buy if it's the right stuff. So make sure that's what you're getting. Okay, let's pack these. So what I do is I push it into the palm of my hand, and you'll see the grease come out the other end. See how that's coming out of there? So now you know it's packed all the way through. Plus it helps pull out some of the old grease that may not be any good anymore. See how that's pushing through? We know for sure that that's packed all the way through. And that tool I showed you will do that, but it is hard to push that thing down. It's basically like you're trying to compress a 4-inch cylinder, like a hydraulic cylinder, but with grease instead of fluid. So you could imagine how much pressure that takes. Okay, that one's done. And I just use the bearing to scoop up the grease. Just like this, see? And just keep rotating it as it's packing so you can get it all the way around. And I put quite a bit of pressure. You don't have to put as much pressure, but it takes longer. I just push pretty hard against my palm and it forces the grease through. And when you're done, you've got a bearing that's completely protected by the grease. A little bit more. Yeah, you're gonna get dirty, but that's what they make hand cleaner for. See, I rubbed this side off with my hands as I was going around, but it's all the way through. So we're going to put this in the rotor now, but I hope that helps. Useful tips, I think. I've been doing this for probably 45 years and never had a bearing failure yet, so just so you know. Okay, let's put this bearing in. The bigger one is the back one, the inner one. And then whoever did this before didn't have a grease seal on there, so make sure you put a grease seal. That's what protects the bearings. And then I just take something like this and just block it out so that it's flush with the edge. And then what I like to do is take some of this grease that's in there and rub it on the inside lip of this seal. That seems to protect it more. So this is ready to go in the car. Okay, let's slide this in. And I always make sure there's no dirt here. So let's get that the outer wheel bearing and put it in. Okay, let's install this spindle nut. You got to be careful. This has a little pin that locks the washer that keeps this from coming off. So you got to make sure that this is facing the right direction so that when you put it together, this locks into that washer. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to preload the bearings tighter than they should be and then back off. So that's, you can tell that's too tight, but that seats the bearings. And then it also gets you the correct preload, which the preload on this I believe should be around 25 to 40 inch-pounds of resistance to rotate the bearing. So next we want to see exactly where that pin is, and so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but it's right almost at the top there next to the groove where the washer goes. So you've got to make sure that the washer lines up with that. And this is the washer, so you can see the pin's going to have to line up in that hole If it doesn't, we'll have to move the nut just a little bit. Sometimes if it's way off, you can turn it around and then you can see the distance is different there. But I'm going to try to do it this way. And we are right on. So the washer went right into the pin, so we know we're lined up correctly. Now we got to put the other nut on top of that to lock everything together. This is the other nut. So this doesn't have a pin. This just sits flat against the washer. And this one needs to be tight because it's the one that locks everything together. Okay, that's where it needs to be. Bearings feel good. Now we need to put in the 4x4 mechanism. Oh, sorry. There's one more thing here. We got to put the washer and the snap ring that holds the axle in place. Let me get my snap ring pliers. Okay, snap ring. Okay, that's in there where it needs to be. So now we'll put the 4x4 lock mechanism, but I'm going to do it with the pliers so you can see it. See? Okay, it's in now. And then this is the seal for that. So you can see how all that goes. Now we'll have to put the cap on there. Okay, we've got that on there. Now let's put the brakes in it. Okay, these brakes take these bolts here. So let's put the caliper on and bolt it up. Okay, so caliper bolts are tight, brake pads are in good. So now what we have left to do is hook up the steering linkage. Okay, this one goes here. Okay, let's tighten this up. Okay, then we'll put this nut on. Alright, this is a self-locking nut, so it won't need a cotter key. Okay, I think we've got everything now. So you can see that that's where that goes, but I've got to get the screws for that and bolt that up. And then we can put the wheel on. So this is probably all I'll show you. You don't need to see me bolting that light up. But I think this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comments.